Bob Hutton is a pioneer in the Canadian broadcasting industry. Bob was Vancouver's most popular morning man ever. How are you doing, Bob? Can you tell me a little bit about your days pre-radio?
Let's see. I wanted to get into radio, so I worked for Yukon Southern Airlines as a radio dispatcher, and I worked forestry as a radio operator, and then I got a chance to go to CFJC, and I jumped at that, and that was my closest. Well, I saw the kid I was in the CFJC Radio Dramatic Club, and I saw the kid in the operating room, and I thought he was getting $5 a week, and I was working for nothing, so I thought I'd best get a job like that. So I went in and I asked for a job in the radio station, and I was such a lousy operator, they hired me as an announcer.
What age were you when you started announcing?
19.
19,
yeah.
And where was that station located?
CFJC Kamloops.
Kamloops, eh? Who do you consider gave you your first break in radio?
I guess, well, Laurie Irving was program manager for CKWX, and he was on a walking tour through British Columbia, and he heard me on CFJC and asked me if I'd audition. So I sent a disc down, and that was before tape or wire. So I sent a disc down to CKWX, and they hired me. Well, this was during the war, and you had to get permission from somebody who, manpower or something.
Well, you were considered underage at 19?
Oh, no, but I was considered able to work for a logging mill or a pulp factory or somewhere to help the war effort.
Oh, okay.
Manpower, it was called.
Okay.
So I had to go down to Vancouver and talk to Manpower. And the guy said, "What do you do?" And I'd had the job at WX at this time, and I just had to go to Manpower to get permission. And I said, "Well, I'm a radio operator." "Oh, good." He says, "We need one. We've got a boat going to China tomorrow." And I said, "No, not that kind of radio operator, because in the reserve army, I only got 14 words a minute or something, the barest minimum." But I went back to Tiny Elf, who was the manager, and I said, "They want to send me to China." And he pulled some strings, I guess, and got me a job in CKWX.
Now, maybe you can talk about your early days at WX, and I guess that was your first job as a major
yes.
guy. Now, was it? I guess one question I was for you: did you consider yourself a disc jockey or a newsman?
Oh, we called ourselves. Our salesmen were account executives, and I was a personality. So a disc jockey was. Don't use that word. Because a disc jockey plays rock and roll and hollers a lot, pumping the jump and driving the jive and that sort of talk. But we were a middle of the road station and
WX?
Yeah.
WX, and that was out of New Westminster?
No, WX was out of Vancouver.
Okay.
It was the big time.
Okay. Now you jumped. Now your time at WX was approximately 1955. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And you jumped ship from WX to NW around that same time?
No, I jumped ship after about 20 years at WX.
Oh.
I built them up. When I moved to town, CJOR and was the big station. It was the Dominion station. And we took over the morning show against Billy Brown and Gigi Man. And so when we got the morning show, then we got the audience to follow me, and we got the soap shows. Well, then WX became the big station. So
can you describe your shows? What they might consist of? Was it just talk format?
No, my program was music. We played middle of the road music, and not the rock and roll and the whatnot, but and saying little funny things in between and whatnot. And, you know, I had that disc of traffic hints I used to drop in, and I had a Bugs Bunny cut of "This is a revolt development," which if something was done, I'd drop one of those in. And there was another thing called "Is That Your Trouble Booba?" Well, a disc, a comic disc about you spilt the coffee in your lap and went all over the typewriter. Is that what's bugging you, Bunky? So I just took those little clips and dropped them in occasionally.
Now, was it mostly a morning show? Because you were the #1 morning man at one time, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. How long would the show be?
Well, I started at 5 in the morning and went till 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. So it was a 4-hour shift?
Yeah. Well, from 8 o'clock to 9, it was tape shows, morning devotions, and the roving mic with Bill Hughes, which was the longest running radio show on the West Coast at that time. And so that was filled up the hour between 8 and 9, so I just had to operate that, really. And then Jack Webster came on at 9.
Now, a four hour day job sounds pretty slack, but obviously there was preparation time in it. How long would it? What would be involved? You know, how would you prepare yourself mentally and even?
Well, our manager used to say, "How much time do you spend preparing?" And I said, 20 years. He said, "Don't give me that 20 years crap, huh?" So, you know, clipping funny sayings out of magazines and whatnot.
So could you spend like an 8-hour day in you know, besides your show? Like when you left in the morning, when would you come back?
At 9 o'clock, I had to go down and check the continuity, the writers, the creative department for any commercials they had written and ready for me, and then I went in and recorded them. I would say 10, 11 o'clock I was through for the day.
Yeah. Now, did you ever have days where you might experience stage fright? You know, you had a large audience. Did you ever get apprehensive of when you were going on air? Or was
yeah. Well, I used to stand in the wings and take a deep breath and say, "Okay," you know. Rio Thompson, one of my early program managers, said, "Don't wheedle the buggers, snarl at them." You know. So.
Now, did you consider yourself a celebrity?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there good experiences and bad experiences dealing with the general public? Did you have guys that were, you know, fans and people that weren't fans?
Well.
Or were you not that? You're not we weren't a confrontational type of person.
A few of them, like one guy said, "You radio announcer, I'll think you're something. I'll bet that's a phony wig." And he grabbed my hair and pulled. And I thought, if my wig had come off, which it didn't,
yeah.
You know, wouldn't he been embarrassed? Wouldn't I been? But it was to show you up. Another guy grabbed my beard. I had a beard, and well, they make comments about you got more hair under my arm than your face and whatnot. But one fellow I was interviewing on the street one day, and he had a beard, and I said, "A guy that wears a beard would eat garbage, you know," and he dropped his face. And he would not look up at me. The more I insulted him, the more he looked down. He wouldn't look up and see my beard and say it was a joke. God.
Is there any celebrities that you met that stood out over your time?
I've forgotten his name now. Jack Betty's singer, Kenny Baker? No, after Kenny Baker. Anyway, I interviewed him and at 4:30 in the morning, and he turned up, and he had Maybelline in his eyes and eyeshadow and his fingernail. He must have gotten up at midnight to prepare for that interview because he was just beautiful.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I thought he was maybe he was going to be talking. He was a drag queen. Can you talk about Red Robinson? Now these are names like
Yeah.
my particular show has gone all along the world, so people might not know who Red Robinson, but maybe you can fill in that well, he was a Canadian broadcaster, but you know.
Yeah, he was well, the king of rock and roll in the West Coast. That what can I say? He was Red Robinson.
You're just a dealing that you might have had, or a conversation that did you meet these? Did you meet Red?
Yes, but he was another radio station.
Okay.
So
you were more competitors, or?
yeah, he was the rock and roll, which we all would look down on because we were what we call middle of the road, and, you know, not extremes. And
now, did you make a good living for the time? I'm looking at those movies and I see the new Malibu convertible and a nice home, and you seem to take lots of vacations. Was it a good living for the time? Like,
I guess. Yeah, but the money's much better nowadays. But yeah, we did all right.
Yeah. Now, did your wife do some bits for you for your show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did a couple of remotes together.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Now, what kind of equipment you might have been taking out to remote? Was it was it a big honking production?
Well, they said it was portable because it had a handle.
Uh-huh.
And that was the only thing that was portable. You couldn't carry it, but it had a handle.
Okay.
So it'd be a big box. Yeah. And then we went through the Wire-X. Did you know what Wire-X is?
No, I don't.
Oh, it's a wire recorder. Instead of a tape, it was a long spool of wire. And it used to run past a couple of heads and record the message. And occasionally it wowould break, and the engineer would be ripping out miles of wire to splice it.
Well, when was the Wire-X? When was that available? What decade?
Let's see, that would be after the war. 19. Oh boy, I had 2 years in hospital in there too. About 1947, I guess, was the Wire-X era.
Okay.
Then, of course, I went to Tranquille, which was a tubercular hospital, for 2 years. So I was in there from 47 to 49. And one good thing about the hospital is we were all heroes. The guy in the next bed had TB, and he was the greatest car salesman in Vancouver. The guy over there sold real estate. He was the best real estate man. I was the best radio announcer because you don't have to prove a thing. You just have to say it.
Yeah. What were you sick with? What
TB.
Oh, TB.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something that's can you elect TB or?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
You can now with.
How would you have got it?
Getting run down, tired. I did all the war bond shows on the street at, raising money for Canada war bonds and introducing live acts and whatnot. And I thought I'd become famous by appearing in all them.
What, a motion picture?
No, this is on the street. And
okay. Now, you seem to be very much of a family man. You have a big clan?
Well, I have 3 children, and, I have 3 grandchildren. I'm the last of the Huttons. They're all dead, I guess.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Well, okay. How long have you been married?
Oh, boy. 50, let's see. 1953, 52. I guess 53 years.
53 years, eh?
Yeah.
Now, you did some recording sessions with your kids where you had brought them into the studio. I don't know if it was for, it looked like they were doing some radio bits for you. These recordings were approximately 1953 and 1960. Do you recall much about those sessions with the kids?
Yeah. But I took the equipment home. This is my son. And this is the reel-to-reel tapes, like I would take home to record.
Okay.
And the odd Christmas, we did it from home by recording all the music and the commercials, and then what's this secret?
Well, what year did you retire from radio?
75.
What was your decision to do that?
Well, there was a great BC Lions football player, Primo Nieuwenwever. He said, if you want to become famous, retire. He says, because after I quit football, then people said, boy, you could carry the ball. Oh, boy, you were great. You were the greatest. But he said, when I was working, you know. So anyway, I planned on it, and I thought, well, quit while you're winning. I've often had people tell me, you know, always leave them wanting more. Never give it all and say, well, that's it, I gotta go. Leave them saying, God, I wish you'd continue. So I decided to, 55, I qualified for my full pension, and I may as well take it, because if I only live 10 years, at least I've got 55 to 65. While quitting at 55, you lose 3/4 of your pension. And then I bought another thing. It says they'll give my wife 10 years after I've gone of the pension. That would cut the pension again in 1/4. So I got my age, and I got worrying about Verna, so I phoned the insurance company, and they said, oh, that's 10 years after you retire, it's guaranteed. So who's going to die between 55 and 65? That's why I got out.
Yeah.
Now, if I thought it was after I was 85, it would go for 10 years. But she's, oh yeah, salesmen tell you that, but there's nothing, doesn't mean anything.
Now, after you left NW, did you go into semi-retirement? I understand you hosted a puppet show on CHAN TV called Planet Pals. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you get into that?
I don't know. I think somebody asked me to do it.
Now, Chan TV, was that? I can always just remember the BCTV building there that was on Lougheed Highway.
Lougheed, yeah.
Yeah. Where was Chan? Where were they located?
On the Lougheed Highway.
Was it the same complex?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't Chan broadcast to Victoria, or they split it up that way. That's the way I remember it, anyways.
Well, there was a station in Victoria which was a sister to Chan.
Okay.
So we were doing the Planet Pals, and we got a chance to sell it around, but it was kind of new in television, and apparently most of the local stations like Kamloops and Victoria, they were still using 9mm film, and we were doing it on tape disc, or
videotape.
Well, no. Reel-to-reel, I guess.
Okay.
And they couldn't play it, so we couldn't sell it.
So it was too advanced for the time, then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm surprised they were using 8mm back then for their broadcast.
I don't know what they were using.
Okay.
Just the switchers dropped out. You can't get started.
Okay.
You've ever heard of the Rhythm Pals?
Yes, I have. Wasn't that Tommy Hunter's?
No. That was a West Coast group, but Mike Furby, Jack Jensen, Mark Wald, and Jack Jensen, and Mike Furby. Now, okay.
So what was your association with the Rhythm Pals?
I used to go out and do shows with them, like I was the announcer, and we'd go to a Legion Hall 20 miles away, and the Rhythm Pals would put on a program, and I'd introduce them. And
that name sounds really familiar. Again, it's a little bit early for mine, but
yeah.
I know of the Rhythm Pals.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were there's a picture there of you?
Not with the Rhythm Pals, but they were the group here.
Okay.
Sons of the Pioneers.
So some of your broadcasts were you were involved in broadcasting live music, or live music to tape, or you would just show up as to announce the band.
Well, just to announce the band and have some few funnies we throw in and whatnot. But Mike Furby played the bull fiddle, and then Mark Wall played the accordion, and Jack Jensen the guitar. So that's live music.
Now, yeah, this is a picture I thought was very interesting. Is you? Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Well, one of the reasons that made me switch stations to NW was I asked Tiny Elphick at WX if I could host a tour group to go to Hawaii. And he said, we've got a deal with CP that if we want free tickets to Hawaii, we buy them. And if they want free airtime, they buy it. So NW said, Bill Ray said, you can do whatever you like. So I organized a tour group of 30 people. We flew all to Hawaii, and on the way home, the radio station sent a car to meet me at the airport and made a big thing of it. So that was my wife and my baby daughter meeting us there.
Okay, he's the top dog. Who is that in reference? Is that to Bob
That's
Hutton?
all of us.
All of us. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
With Top Dog.